ようこそどうぞはじめまして
Hello everyone and welcome to the GLORIO Chat, the best anime podcast on the internet. We have a lot of anime to talk about today, so...
the worst part of running an anime blog, talking about anime.
Yes. Well, that said, I'm going to do our best not to go off on an extended Genshin Impact tangent here. So G, you're going to have to help me out with that, try to keep things in check here.
Yeah, me, famously known for keeping things on track. I will do my best here.
Yes. So, it is the new anime season. It's fall 2020, or sorry, Zig, autumn 2020.
Thank you.
Makes you feel better. There's quite a few new shows. We've watched a lot, and actually we've had a couple surprises. I don't know if any of them are particularly fantastic, but certainly interesting, and I think we're gonna have an eye on quite a few of these going forward. So.
I think in general it's been this season has been way better than I expected so far, and granted, my expectations were rock bottom, but there's actually some fairly interesting stuff.
There's a lot of things that earned episode 2, which is not something we can say every season. So
sure, we could say that, I guess. Yes, interesting, interesting. I don't know if I would frankly call the season good, but interesting.
Yes,
sure.
There's a lot of stuff that could pan out one way or another depending on how it goes.
Right. It's not like last season where there was I got nothing left to watch. So. All right, so before we get into the actual anime discussion, let's just introduce everybody. I'm Jel. I am joined by Iro.
Still here. Not dead yet.
Still with us. G.
I'm not going to talk about Genshin Impact because I don't want to anger the podcast gods again, because the last time I opened up my mouth about Genshin Impact, I was struck down and my internet connection was severed. So yes, clearly...
This is totally not our second take here.
So clearly Genshin Impact is cursed discussion on this podcast.
I'm sure we will find some time in the future. I'll just say right now.
When they announce the inevitable anime adaptation.
Yeah. It's a good game, and it's free, so it doesn't hurt to try it.
6 weeks from now, when we have nothing left to talk about this season.
Yeah, and they're dropping their next update, right? So
we'll use Genshin Impact as an excuse to start up the gacha podcast that we do once every 3 years.
Yeah. Well, if you like anime and Breath of the Wild, again, it's free. Doesn't hurt to try it.
So Breath of the Wild, then.
Well, 1 out of 2 anyway, but yes. And as you just heard, we have Zig with us this week.
I've avoided Genshin Impact by playing noted state-of-the-art game Donkey Kong Country 2 instead, so I'm hip with the kids, as they
Diddy's
say.
Kong Quest.
I'm sorry to hear that.
It's not so bad when you've got infinite lives.
Fine.
Sure. All right. Well, let's get into the anime. Like I said, there's quite a bit to talk about. And we'll start with...
the hottest, newest anime.
Yeah, I wanted to just mention this because of the ridiculous stunt they've pulled with Higurashi When They Cry, which was billed as a remake. Obviously, this is
the first episode is basically the same as the first episode.
Oh, a remake, anime. You say?
Right. Yeah, I mean, did they really bill it as a remake, though? They just said, we're making a new Higurashi, and didn't really go into too many details about it.
I'm pretty sure I saw a remake going around. So, the official title at the beginning was the Higurashi When They Cry New, and
Brotherhood.
Yes, like we said, the first episode was pretty much exactly the same, right? You guys were saying, as the original series. And then the second episode, they kind of pull the rug out from that, and it's actually, I don't know if it's a alternate take or a sequel or something.
I mean, Higurashi is so lousy with alternate timeline bullshit anyway that it's kind of hard to tell.
So are you telling me that this new Higurashi is trying to pull a Final Fantasy VII remake?
No, more like a rebuild of Evangelion.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, so... like, look, I feel like that seems very on brand for this series to do something like that, but I thought it was kind of ridiculous how... they rather than just air the episode and everybody just going, what happened, they made like a big announcement, like, we're changing the title to the actual true title, which is Higurashi When They Cry Go, or something like that.
Yeah, here's this image of
and here's the real key art for the series,
this key art which spoils one of the major plot twists, by the way.
But I mean, that's the thing, right? If this is not meant to be a remake anymore, well, I mean, this is similar to the discourse around Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 1 of, like, what is a spoiler anymore if suddenly the work decides that it is doing something... I mean, we don't... I mean, I guess that's the thing. I've never watched the original, so I'm basing this purely off your guys' description, but if it's supposedly trying to do something different...
I mean, the only thing is I don't really have a huge amount of experience with Higurashi. I know it mostly through cultural osmosis, but that first episode wasn't good. And there's no, like, why would you... There's no point in trying to deceive people if you're deceiving them into what they're watching is a bad show. So I'm not really sure how well this stunt worked, to be honest.
Oh, I don't know, man. So are you telling me that episode 2, like... it looks better?
I couldn't even be asked to watch episode 2. So.
Oh, okay, because I was going to say, like, is this one I don't know, man. I was like, man...
I don't think there was going to be any change in production value on it.
I was going to say, man, wouldn't it be such a ballsy move to, like, make your first episode look like shit on purpose, and then, like, come episode 2, and then you're like, actually, Utapon is storyboarding Higurashi.
I mean, there's a reason why... everybody says that beginnings are important, and it's because beginnings are important.
I think at this point, it's probably, if there's any fans still left out there in 2020...
I'm sure they're excited.
That's probably all that this is... There's probably the only people interested in this at this point, so... I guess we can just let that one die, then.
Fine by me.
Yeah. But hey, they tried something, I guess.
Speaking of a show that really is trying something.
All right, yeah, let's get to something more.
All right, let's get into
fun
this.
to talk about.
What is
let's talk about
what is our Hot Boy rap group name? That we shout in the opening.
Oh,
I can't.
You can't put me on the spot for a
I mean, it would probably just be GLORIO, right? Like,
we're already the GLORIO crew,
right?
But,
like, it's like it's short and snappy enough. Sounds like the word glory, you know. Like it works.
Yeah, but they kind of have a second crew after Mad Trigger Crew.
I mean, I will say that my entire experience of performing rap is playing Rock Band and singing "Give It Away" in an exaggeratedly English accent.
Before we go off on all these little tangents, let's just say what the show is.
Yes.
Hypnosis Mike Division Rap Battle Rhyme Anima.
One more time.
The title that can't.
What a great
title that just can't stop.
What a great title for an anime.
I would think this pretty much panned out exactly where we were anticipating. Where the premise is great. It's the
presentation is fairly bombastic.
No, yeah,
like,
it's
not bad.
Yeah, the art direction's not bad. Like, it's a solid looking show.
Yeah, and it's just refresh everyone's memory. It's the women have taken over the world and now and ended all violent all war and violence and destroyed all deadly weapons, and now everyone can only fight by their special weaponized microphones.
Except according to those episodes, there's still plenty of violence happening.
Yeah, yes, but it's being committed by psychic microphones, so it's really not the same at all, basically.
Doesn't count at all.
Come on.
Yeah, I think one of my favorite stupid details is how they actually like hold the microphones like a weapon. Like,
right.
I didn't get to watch episode 2, but I saw
I
saw screenshots of some guy like holding a lady hostage with like the microphone up to her face.
You gotta say that, though, dude. Aaron and I watched episode 2, and man, there's
Okay.
It's it's great.
All right, so I think that we loved the concept, but the music is really
sucks.
bad.
The music sucks. The dudes can't rap like at all. Like there's a couple of dudes there where you're like, all right, like you could like. You could drop bars okay. Like, you're kind of like a, I know I literally brought him up last time, but, you're like a John Cena tier rapper. Like, you can rhyme a bit. Like,
Hey man, John Cena's got some flow.
he does. I'm not, like I said John Cena tier. I'm not like you're just starting to brush up against like technical rap competency. But most of them are just like, it's the Japanese equivalent of white dudes like sing talking to a beat, and not very good beats at that. Like, it's
some of the beats were okay.
I know, like you said, like Mad Sugar Cruise, like Dr. Dre adjacent inspired like 90s West Coast beat.
I liked that one because it sounded like if you asked somebody to make the beat to California Love, but you didn't want to get copyright struck for it.
Oh wow, yeah, that's a good way of putting it, actually.
Like the off-brand commercial.
Which is like even funnier to me because like the Mad Sugar Crew, like of the crews we've introduced so far, having the most like West Coast 90s like adjacent sound, but their group is comprised of a fucking soldier, a cop, and a gangster or something.
Right, they're like the least West Coast.
That's like as un-West Coast as you could get.
Yeah.
I mean, I think my main issue is that the rapping is not good enough to be catchy, but it's not bad enough to be funny, if that makes sense. Like,
Oh no, it's bad enough.
I definitely had some fun laughing at it, but some of that, the issue is like, a ton of that's probably just the visuals, right? Like, it's so over the top, summoning these like skeleton-faced subwoofer mics out of the sky, or like,
you can forgive a lot with the visuals, but it's.
I can't say I wasn't amused. I thought that there was, some decent stuff there, but yeah, like a solid soundtrack would really go the
would have really
mile.
elevated this, and I think that's the thing, right? Like, we've even gotten comments on our first look about this that like, no, this isn't for us, honestly, right? Like, this is a vehicle, this is an idol vehicle, a multimedia male idol vehicle, and this is literally the case of they got a group together and we're like, we need a gimmick, and our gimmick is going to be rap, yeah. And it doesn't matter if they actually rap or not. It's just that, if I want to get really like harsh here, it's just we're appropriating the aesthetics of rap and packaging it with hot boys and. But
right.
It's not like the Western music industry is like not guilty of that either.
Believe me, yeah. I'm not trying to throw stones in glass houses here, but
the thing with that though is like, okay, yeah, I get it. It's a pretty boy idol vehicle, but it could have been both.
Yeah,
if the music was good, I wouldn't have cared.
I'm just not a big fan of, like, I get why pretty boy idol shows and pretty girl idol shows exist, but that doesn't mean I find them interesting or entertaining or worthwhile at all, quite frankly.
But this one I think has a different level of spectacle than your average idol show.
There's definitely
combined with like a good soundtrack would have been at least fun to watch, right?
There's definitely a level of self-awareness there. There's just probably not quite as much as I would have liked.
I think Zig put it the right way. That you can definitely tell the show is poking fun at itself a little bit, like. It intrinsically has to be because of just how absurd the things it's portraying are, but it does play it a little maybe too straight. Like, the characters are, look, I get it. The characters are, they're male idol archetypes, right? But like, they're not quite goofy enough to completely sell this like ridiculous premise.
Right. Yeah. Well, I don't know. Like I said, I kind of wanted to watch episode 2, but I didn't have time.
You should watch episode 2, Jill. I think.
Did anything change?
No. But there's
You just have the robber who busts in the store, holds a woman at mic point,
and the police. The police literally say, "Drop the mic." And I don't know if that's a Summers. I don't know if it's the actual writing, but
I feel like that's probably not an intentional joke.
And so I laughed at that. I was like, that's pretty funny. But then they escalated it to the next level where the robber then rips his shirt off and reveals he's got a suicide vest of Mike strapped to his chest.
Oh my god!
And that's the part where
totally
that's the
kind of thing I want.
it.
That's the kind of thing I want.
That's where I completely lost it. It's like, I don't know, like it seems like that where I'm like, I think they're they're definitely self-aware to a certain degree, because like it's so patently absurd. Like dude's got sticks, like it's literally wired up like a suicide vest, like sticks of dynamite, except they're microphones, and
you can't do something that stupid and not realize and appreciate how stupid that is.
It's really over the top, but the thing it did, and it also did weirdly address my other complaint about the show that would have been a stronger complaint if the music was actually good, but like the bad guys don't do any rapping. Like they call these rap battles, but it's just the hot boys rapping at a target, and then they explode.
Right. Tenderloin shows up. The gang called Tenderloin.
Also, yes, the gang called the Tenderloin, which, let me tell you, if you were in America and you called your gang the Tenderloin, you'd be getting fucked in more ways than one, so...
They show up and they're like, we're gonna rap battle the Buster Bros, and then they don't.
Right.
The Buster Bros show
is
up.
the end game the crews battling each other though?
I mean, they
probably have to rap against the ladies or something.
Well, they introduce a new crew in the second episode, or I mean, they're implied to be a new crew, so even though they don't do any rapping, because it's another trio of hot boys, and so I assume that is probably eventually where they start angling things. But,
I mean, we could not go through a rap-centric conversation without mentioning the episode of Classicaloid where they turned Schubert into a rapper. Is it better than that? Because
no, not even close. I mean, well, that's the thing, right?
Because that's the gold standard.
I mean, it's...
Franz Schubert's a better rapper than any of these people.
Yes. I mean, I have takes on the Schubert sequence that I won't get into here.
Fair.
But, like...
If we're grading on a curve.
Yes. Like, I mean, I've definitely heard a couple of weebs who have clearly never listened to a hip-hop album in their life be like, oh, Schubert's the best rapper I've ever heard. And I'm like,
I know, look, I mean, joking. We're being somewhat facetious.
Right, like, you need to
the joke is that he's bad. Like the joke is that he's bad.
Like, you need to listen to a couple more albums, my guy. But anyways, like, yes, like, that's the thing, right? Japan's made good hip-hop before, right? Like, this is not, like... This is not unheard of, right? I'm not even talking about just the Nujabes style, like, lo-fi beats stuff, right? Like, they've done, like, Japan has kind of experienced, like, Japan's really into the trap scene for some reason. Like, they're, like, Japanese, like, trap is, like, really blowing up now.
Can you tell me what that means? Because I don't know what that means.
It's a type of beat and flow that's a little more... It's one of the more modern, that's kind of what's hot these days.
It's very, like...
Compared to the... me being the old school, I only like 90s.
You and your
hip-hop.
90s old man stuff. Yes.
I'm largely with Joe on that.
But, the trap stuff, I'm just like, eh.
Right,
it's a bit more like trap's a bit more electronic-y.
Yeah.
Like
it's a lot more aggressive. But I mean, the point is I'm bringing up is like when people think of Japanese hip hop, they tend to think of just Nujabes, God rest his soul. But like they have like They do, like, there's quite a bit of variety there. Like, I'm not going to, this is not going to be G's 101 on Japanese hip-hop segment, but, like, you got, like, the more modern stuff, like Miyachi and JP the Wavy, but, like, if you want the more, like, old-school 90s stuff, you got, like, Buddha Brand, you got, like, King Ghidra, you have pre-2000s Rhymester, which I love saying his name, Rhymester, because it's very funny to me because no American rapper could ever get away with the name Rhymester, but a Japanese rapper sure can. But, so it's like, there is a scene there, and it's just, like, again, this show's not for us, but, like...
Yeah,
right, it's because they're going with the idol formula where you get the popular voice actors and make them do it.
Yeah, force fucking Sho Hayami, this 60-year-old man, to rap for you.
And that could be great. That could be great if they just lead into it.
I really, really wanted him to be good.
God, in my heart of hearts, like you know that you would know that we actually seriously. We would live in the blessed dimension if Sho Hayami turned out to be a fucking god tier rapper, but
He was probably the worst one.
No, I think it was him and the military guy. I really think the military guy in Mad Trigger Crew was like awful. Just like zero flow. Like the other dudes could at least like sing talk kind of. That dude was.
Yeah, I think the only ones close to decent were like the leader of the Buster Bros. Was it?
Yeah, he's all right.
And the blonde host guy was all right.
Calling a gang the Buster Bros, by the way, just makes me think that it's just Cloud and Zack.
Yeah. Well, they're still harder than anything in Ikebukuro Westgate Park, which we'll get to. But
anyway,
why do
we'll get to that eventually.
Why do they all have Splatoon eyes?
Oh right, their eyes. Yeah,
like,
thank you.
I could only think of that as some suit was like, oh, we're doing like the music and the street, and the kids like the
Splatoon is pretty
like
street.
Splatoon, right? Splatoon's like that, and they got the eyes, so we gotta get the eyes like the squids.
Except, you know what? I would make the legitimate argument. Splatoon is more street than Hypnosis Mike. Like, Pearl and Marina dressed up as Biggie and Tupac for an event. Like,
yeah,
that game is more legit than Hypnosis Mike.
All right, before just one last thing, can we just talk about the whole like women dictator things?
Oh, the mommy dictators.
I can't tell if it's meant to be arch social commentary or they're just really that clueless.
Like that's what I'm trying to, because like they're kind of the bad guys, right? And I get I feel like I get the feminists have one vibe off of that a little bit.
Sure,
yeah,
sure.
yeah. Like that's the kind of vibe I was getting as well, and. Like, I don't know if it's meant to be a slam dunk or something, but women
I just
took
don't know
over
where
the
that would
world.
fit in the. I don't know where that would fit in the context of a male idol show targeted at a female audience.
Also,
so I don't know if it was really intentional to make any commentary on that.
You know,
but
as we said about the premise, like, if they're trying to make commentary about feminism, then they really fucked up, because the world of Hypnosis Mike sounds awesome. They banned war!
Enough.
Yeah, I was going to say, women take over the world and end war is not exactly the dunk that you might think.
Right,
it is,
like,
I'm
you're like,
afraid.
oh no, the dictator mommies won. War is abolished. It's like...
Yeah.
I did not expect the anime version of Lysistrata to be like this. That was a joke nobody else got understood.
I'm sorry,
Let's
dude.
move on.
That dropped like a lead balloon.
Yeah.
let's
Apologies,
move on.
I don't get that.
Let's move on from that.
Yes,
All
let's
right,
move on to
we've talked
something
way
else.
too long about that. Let's move on to Jujutsu Kaisen, the big Shonen Jump show this season.
Yep, your usual weekly Shonen Jump vehicle.
It seems
This is one of the few shows
like
on the list I
Shonen
didn't
Jump.
watch, but if you guys want to fill me in how that went, I know we were interested because of the director.
Yep.
With Sung-ho Park directing.
We continue to be interested because of the director.
Yeah.
It's better than God of High School, I'll give you that much.
Garo Divine Flame was an extremely good movie.
Yeah, I mean...
Vanishing Line was good.
Yeah.
So what is the actual deal? What is the actual premise of this show?
Okay, so...
Other than it's...
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, okay, so it's... You've heard it a million times before. Regular high school kid wants to live a normal life, discovers that there are evil ghosts. He takes a gamble on absorbing demonic power, and now he fights ghosts. Like, it's...
Yep.
You know, you've heard it a million times. The thing that I guess is maybe still keeping me around is first of all, it's Sung-ho Park's directing. Like it's when it pops off, it really pops off, like Sung-ho Park always does. And I guess for me, the thing that I want this show to convince me to stick with it, but
Right.
It's like a Shonen Jump. The beginning is really slow. I talked to some people who've read the manga, and I was like, is it really this fucking, bad at the start? And most people are like, oh yeah, dude, it's like the first, 8 chapters or whatever. And I was like, alright, well. But
I mean, I think part of the problem for me, at least, as somebody who historically has kind of liked shonen action shows, is that the Shonen Jump formula is so heavily commodified at this point that it's kind of like beyond just a house style, it's become, you know, a house framework of
like
how stories are told, and it's just not interesting or exciting to see a new one of these.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely the problem. The thing that, like, makes me want to stick around is, like, the show dangles, like, bits and pieces that I find interesting, whether it's, like, I don't know, like, whether they'll, like, lean into it. Like, maybe that's one of the issues is, like, every now and then it kind of does lean into, like, a bit of a sinister edge to it that I like. That I'm like, I want to see more of that, but then because it's something to publish in Shonen Jump, like, it cuts back to, it's like, comical, not chibi, but, you know, comical stylized moments, you know, or, like...
silly pratfalls.
Yeah, exactly, you know, in between these, like, moments that feel a lot more like... I mean, they do feel like Garo, kind of, like sinister dark fantasy, but it lingers on them, but it doesn't relish them enough to, like, really make it the dominant personality of the show.
It's very odd to me, because you'd think that, you know, competition for places in Shonen Jump is so fierce. You'd think that stories would come right out of the gate and try and put their best foot forward, you know, try and get to the good stuff as fast as possible. So it's always odd to me that they do start so slow, and again, that's just because...
I mean, sometimes, you know, I wonder how much of that is the author and how much of that is editorial, right? Like, because we know that...
Jump demanding that the stories be more Jump-alike.
Right, like, Shonen Jump is famous for, like...
I mean, we were literally just talking about how, you know, there's such a set framework for these things.
Yeah, like, I mean, a great example of this, I mean, it's not getting an anime anytime soon, but, like, to speak of another Shonen Jump is, like, Chainsaw Man, which, like, right now in its current iteration, like, right now where it is currently in the manga, could not even be described as shonen. Like, it would be impossible to compare current Chainsaw Man to anything being currently published in Weekly Shonen Jump, or anything published in its entire history. But its first, like, 10 chapters were very much like, here's the crew you join. Here's your Sasuke and Sakura equivalent. Here's the Hokage. Here's, like, the MacGuffins we have to collect, right? Like, it very much still followed those paces. And it was only until later when I suspect, which is what happens, is that once a Shonen Jump thing finds success, the editorial backs off.
Right, it almost seems like authors have to, like, Trojan horse their good ideas under, like, the shadow of generic shonen action adventure. And you know, I mean, again, obviously, you know, none of us know the internal workings of the Japanese manga industry. We can only go on hearsay, but the word is obviously that in Japan, in the manga world, that editors have perhaps a great deal more power than they do in Western comics. And it certainly seems like, to me at least, the last maybe 10 years of Shonen Jump have not been particularly inspiring, perhaps for that reason.
Right.
It might even be 20.
I know, like, you say 10, I'm like, it might be longer at this point.
We should probably swing back to talking about the show.
It kind of makes sense because, like, the name Shonen Jump as, like, a serialized publication is its own.
If we want to switch to talking about old Shonen Jump, we can talk about Dragon Quest.
Which I did not put that on the list. But,
I know. I was just saying, like, Jujutsu Kaisen follows all of the modern Shonen Jump stuff we've come to expect. Then Dragon Quest follows all of the Shonen Jump stuff we've come to expect from 30 years ago.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. It's like, to get back to the show itself, I mean, again, I don't dislike it. You know, it's not offensive to my sensibilities in the way that God of High School was, where it was, like, insultingly stupid. It's just kind of slow. I mean, I will say, the opening, it's a really good opening. Like, it might be one of the strongest OPs of the season for me.
It's a good ED, too.
Yeah, really good ED of, like, really, like, I can't even describe it. It's, like, sketchy lines coloring outside of the lines, like, kind of, like, kids dancing music video kind of vibe to it, which is, like, I'm super into. It's not the vibe I expected at all, but...
I will say that My Hero Academia aside, it does seem a little while since one of these Shonen Jump properties has blown up big in anime form. I mean, I guess you
Demon
can make...
Slayer.
Right.
Demon Slayer was last year.
Yeah, no, yeah, no,
I know
right,
it's easy
yes.
for us to forget Demon Slayer exists, but
Yeah, no, you're
right,
you're
for the
right.
rest of the world.
You're right.
I was a huge deal.
I was going to say Black Clover kind of is ticking along in the background as well, but you're right. Demon Slayer was huge, so I guess that sort of invalidates my point.
Well, but I do see what you mean because like Demon Slayer, I mean,
it was a short thing.
It was
right?
a short
Demon
thing,
Slayer was fairly self-contained.
You kind of mean like a My Hero Academia style like constant Titan that like stays
or
relevant.
One Piece or Dragon Ball,
sure.
something
yes,
on
yes.
that cultural Titan level. I know you can't expect those to show up every day, obviously, but it does seem like that with the amount of content they're cranking out, it does seem like it's been a while.
Yeah, I mean, I will say if nothing else, I do appreciate that they're. Maybe it's because we all grew up in the era of like. Oh, time for Studio Pierrot to put out like 80 episodes of this thing. Like, I do appreciate that we kind of live in this era where like Jujutsu Kaisen can have a director like Sung-Ho Park, that it can be handled by a studio like Mappa. Like that's,
right.
Right.
Or for example, My Hero Academia being handled by like the Bones A team. Like it's cool that they're finally treating these anime as something that like is not just going to be supplementary, not just like an animated commercial for the manga, but like something that will be like a proper spectacle in its own right. I mean,
I will say that I think the decision to make My Hero Academia in seasons rather than as a continuous, like grinding pit of filler and stuff has hugely benefited it. I think that it's much higher quality because of that.
Yeah, we can't get too far off on the state of Shonen Jump here in general.
I know, we have so many other shows to do.
we have talked about My Hero Academia, that aspect of it before. You guys going to keep watching this?
Yeah, definitely. I mean,
or at least for a couple episodes?
For these kind of like, for Shonen Jump, like, the thing is, like, more than the 3-episode rule, the thing I would say is usually I'm waiting until the conclusion of their equivalent of, like, say, the Zabuza arc or something.
yeah.
Or what did you say, Eero? Sorry.
No, you're right. Zabuza arc is better than
like
Shonen Exam.
Like the first big proper
Conflict,
villain confrontation, because that is usually when these kind of shows prove themselves one way or the other.
Right. Okay. Well, we'll keep an eye on that one and move along to next show on our list, Warlords of Sigrdrifa? I don't know how you're supposed to say that.
I don't know.
We didn't even talk
Kotobuki instead.
Yeah, that's
we didn't even talk about this in the preview and then I saw it has World War II girls in World War II planes. I need to give this to
Better
G.
hand this slop to G. He'll eat it up like the fucking pig he is.
So I think there were definitely some parallels to draw between, as Iroh just mentioned, the Magnificent Kotobuki, but I take it that show was better than this.
Yep. I mean, I'm not gonna get into it here, but like, Kotobuki loved planes. It loved dogfighting. Like, you could feel it in every fiber of its being. Like, it was a plane anime with choreography. Like a kung fu movie. The planes flown by different people flew in different styles. Like, that's the attention of detail they gave to that show. And so, sure,
Kotobuki was about planes. This thing is about
girls
who
who happen to pilot planes.
Have planes as a seasoning.
Yeah, and I mean, it's just like the show's just kind of bland all around. Like, it doesn't really have a very strongly defined personality, or it can't seem to commit to one, because it opens up with like a very grim, like, this otherworldly force is attacking and mankind's weaponry is helpless against it, but an individual claiming to be the god Odin will bestow the Valkyrie upon mankind to fight back. Very self-serious, like, the flames of war, it's where the main character is the Grim Reaper Valkyrie, every squad she's ever been in has a 99.99% casualty rate, and, she's all fucked up as a result. And then, as soon as she gets transferred to, like, the backwater base in Japan, it becomes like goofy fun time high school girl antics, and it's
here's the other pilots, and here's how they're all anime.
Yeah, like they're all goofy, cute girl archetypes. You know, you got the Genki one, and you got, like, the nice one, who's actually a speed demon, and you got, like, the tsundere genius, who, like, tries to act cool, but she's kind of lame. I don't know. It's just, like, the characters are, like... I mean, here's the thing. I'm not about to say, Kotobuki. What great writing.
Characters,
What characters. I can't even remember their fucking names. The only thing I can remember is, one of them really liked pancakes, and the other one weightlifted. So that's all I remember.
I mean, right. It's like, we say watch Kotobuki instead. It is not as if Kotobuki had better writing or anything, but...
No, but Kotobuki...
It had better playing.
But Kotobuki's final boss brought out a fucking jet in an anime that had been about prop planes entirely up till then.
Yeah, right.
Like that is an anime that understood, how do you introduce a boss fight in an anime about World War II planes? Introduce a jet. But yeah, it's just like, I don't know, like Warlords of whatever is I don't know. Yeah, it's just like the plane parts are not that interesting. The characters are really annoying, just grating to listen to. It's
there's nothing good to hang your hat on.
Like, there's a couple of segments that do look pretty cool, like, you know, the planes do some cool stuff here and there. You know, there's an Itano circus. You know, it has bits and pieces that are, like, not completely irredeemable, but they're just not enough to, you know, to convince me to stick around.
Right.
I don't see what the, like, hook is. It just feels like so many anime pieces glued together.
I mean, the hook is
in the hopes of casting a wide net. Go
ahead.
Yeah,
the hook is, here are two things which you nerds like: planes and girls. And,
I found the hook. I'm looking at the ANN page. The hook is illustrator from Nanoha and writer from ReZero.
Right, I mean, that is a thing. That is.
I think that probably tells you. Yeah, that probably tells you the target audience in that case.
Forgot about the ReZero connection. Yeah.
What was the other? There was one other girls' airplane.
Girly Air Force.
High School
Fleet.
Oh,
right. Oh, God. The memories just flooded back into me as soon as you said that. I actually watched that one.
The thing that kills my soul is, like, this may be a controversial opinion to have for plain otaku, but, like, I don't think World War II planes are that cool. Like, I appreciate them. I appreciate the mastery of, like, of mastering these analog planes and their, you know, analog instruments, but, like, I prefer jets generally, and Girly Air Force was about jets, but everything else about it was fucking god-awful.
Yeah, that one, because that one, the girls were literally the jets, right?
Yes, that was...
Like, literally, like, he was going to have sex with
He was going to fuck
jet.
that plane.
This is just like Upote or whatever, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
No, even more so, because I think in Girly Air Force, they actually turned it... Well...
We can't do this.
We need
now.
to move
yes,
on.
Let's not get into that. They're the Jets. Yeah, let's move on. Let's talk about Talentless Nana, which I feel like, if anything on this list, we should throw an extra spoiler flag on. If you're interested at all in the show, stop listening now and skip to the next one.
I won't.
Should I have watched this?
I think it's probably so. I won't say the twist is the only reason to watch it, but it's certainly the headlining feature. You know, I will say
if the twist did not exist, there would be no reason to watch this.
Yeah, pretty much. I will say that the first 7 to 10 minutes of this are absolutely excruciating. They are so bad.
Right. And in some ways, it's kind of... I think the point is setting you up.
Is this literally kind of what I was getting at with Higurashi of, like...
I mean, this is an example of that done well, if that makes sense.
Right.
Because, so, let's get it out the way first. The big twist is that the Nana of the title is actually an assassin sent to kill all the other characters, or at least that's what we assume at this point. But I think, you know, what makes those first few minutes so excruciating is that they spend so long setting up this horrible, boring, useless scenario where it seems like it's trying to be a cheap My Hero Academia ripoff, and main character is just every, you know, outcast bullied idiot at school who's been in these shows ever. But I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt and assume it was at least partially deliberate, because once we get into the middle part of the show, even before the twist, I think there's actually some semi-decent character writing. You know, they actually take some time to dig into our supposed main character's backstory, you know, and a lot of it is cliche. He's got a distant dad who sort of emotionally abuses him and all that kind of stuff, you know, but there is some actual decent writing, and, you know, they make Nana, who turns out, of course, to be our main character, kind of clever, and you know, there's at least some advanced planning here in the way that she manipulates fake protag around. And I think even before the twist, I was coming around on like the quality of the character-to-character interaction. But the twist does do a really good job of, like, you know, setting in stone all that stuff. It's like, oh, you were doing this deliberately. This was deliberate. And they actually spell out the stuff that they were doing deliberately.
Right. Yeah, I have to say, I didn't have the twist spoiled for me, but the only reason I watched it is because I heard there was something
that was
not
twist.
As it seems.
See, I went in 100% cold.
So I feel like even knowing that much kind of ruined it a little bit for me, because even just knowing that much, you can kind of see the twist coming.
Right?
But also, but also, here's the thing: as someone who just got spoiled on this right now in this podcast, like, I am more likely to at least give that a watch now than I was ever going to otherwise, because...
Right, the flip side of that would be I would have just never even looked at it.
And, like, disclaimer, I only watched this because it was assigned to me, you know?
Right. So I do feel like just going completely blind would be the best way to do it, but... even so, I appreciated, like you said, the way they set it up. I think all that, like, I think they were really leaning into this is a generic high school superpower kid thing in the beginning.
It even has the generic first episode climax as well.
Right. And and it's like the main guy doesn't have a superpower.
Oh, no.
Except he does, and it's actually he can cancel all the other. He has a Imagine Breaker,
of course.
And it's like, and it's like you're like, oh, this is so bad. But I think that was like 95% intentional and I can appreciate that they set you up for that.
The only thing I will say is that, I mean, they, like many animes, they play the opening at the end of the first episode, and I was a little concerned about how it's all blood and darkness, and this is so edgy, and I really hope that they don't go in that direction.
Oh, what was that show? Oh man, there's a show that this is reminding me a lot of that I can't remember anymore.
Was it the one with the weird babysitter who was actually a mass murderer?
I'm sorry, just the premise, and combined with you talking about like
that show.
Its extremely edgy presentation of its OP. Like, I don't know, Jel, I think you watched maybe bits of this as well. It was like there was like girl assassins and like
Riddle Story of Death.
Oh yeah, Riddle Story. Yeah, man, Ear, how do you remember that?
It's the one where I'm still mad that they didn't actually just name it The Devil's Riddle.
Yeah, right, because yes, the main thing we remember now is just its awful title.
Yeah, it's kind of in that neighborhood, or it looks like they're going into that neighborhood. And that is kind of my concern now that the twist is out. I don't know if the show's actually going to be good from here.
Right,
like,
will it actually have the substance to
put it this way though? I'm interested to find out. That's a lot more than I was expecting.
I think it earns another episode or two, maybe the 3-episode test on this one, because now that the real show is going to start, now we're going to see what it's really about, and I don't know if they have the chops to pull off what they're. It's because I feel like it's pretty ambitious what they're trying to do.
Yeah. I mean, like,
and I don't know if they have the chops to do it. We'll have to see, I guess.
I saw some encouraging signs, and I will definitely give it a few more episodes to try and see what they can do with it.
Right. So, chalk that up as one of the big surprises, I think, this season. That, for something that looked completely
disposable,
complete non-entity, actually had something going on with it. So, yeah, I think that's as much as we can. I mean, we've kind of already spoiled it a bit, but there's more to check out in there. I think it's worth, if that sounds interesting, checking it out. Okay, let's move along to Iwakakeru Sport Climbing Girls. that's pretty much what we got. there were girls climbing and not a whole lot else on this one.
They let G make an anime, and he made an anime.
Except
I don't know, G.
Except the show isn't made for me. Like, I thought, because the jokes aside, like, no, actually, I don't think the show is actually like that interested in appealing to like my specific demographic. Like, I don't know. Did you watch episode 2?
I did not watch episode 2.
Okay, episode 2 is the first time in a while where I've like audibly shouted at an anime because I was having such a bad time with it. Like, okay.
So, well, let me just set the stage a little more. So, episode 1, they do absolutely nothing new or interesting. It's nothing. It's the girl who doesn't know what she wants to do with her life and stumbles upon a school club and joins the school club, and she turns out to be naturally just very good at it. In this case, because she's good at puzzle games. I don't understand. She's a
gamer.
Yeah, and that translates to solving rock climbing like a puzzle. But and she has to challenge the one hard ass girl in the club to join the club, and it's fine, but also like nothing particularly exciting about it. I mean, the directing's kind of okay. Like, they try to make the rock climbing look as exciting as they possibly can, but at the end of the day, it's rock climbing.
Like,
so
like it's
so like the intense camera angles and everything can only do so much. You can only do so
much.
They try, but
like rock climbing is a very impressive physical feat. Like, no lie, it's just that like from
I don't want to downplay
the outside
that,
observer though, it's not the most like kinetic or exciting activity to watch, and yeah, but it's not just that. It's like it's multiple like factors like kind of like really ruin this for me. Like, if I want to be really gratuitous, the first thing I can get into is like only one of the 4 girls in that cast is actually like visibly physically fit. Like, it's the try-hard girl who's got, like, visible abs and, like, defined delts. But, like, all the other girls just kind of look like regular anime girls, which, like... Look, man, if you're going to make an anime about the sport that produces some of the most physically fit people on the planet, like... you should probably lean into it, is all I'm saying.
Yeah.
But...
So, did it get worse in episode 2?
Oh, dude, it gets bad. So, like... episode 1 ends with, like, she lost the challenge, but she proved her mettle, right? She earned the begrudging respect of the try-hard girl, right? And then, they're like, and now, hey, by the way, you're gonna, now we're gonna go to, our team's going to the tournament tomorrow. You're gonna be participating in the tournament tomorrow. Like, you're a person who literally started the sport today. And so they go to the team tournament, and turns out that there's no tension at all, because turns out the blonde girl and the red-haired girl are like literally the number like 1 and 2 best rock climbers in their like district or something.
Oh, okay. So they just mop it up.
Yeah, but like of course they introduce the pros from the other regions, Right. Except like the character designs I find are like really like weirdly off-putting to me. Like, again, like, I'm not saying that, like, your rock climber girls all gotta be, like, super fucking ripped, but, like... So they, like, introduce, like, this girl who's, like, she's the champ of, like, the rival district or whatever, and she's super tall, and, like, she's got black wavy goth hair, and, she's got, like, the bags under her eyes. She's the tired girl archetype, right? And she, like, talks creepy. But also she has bunny ears. Like, she wears a bunny ears headband.
What? Excuse me?
But she's known as...
Wait.
But she's known as the Spider because of how good at climbing she is. And, like, the theming is just, like, completely, like... It's so inconsistent. Like, remove the bunny ears headband and you call this girl the Spider. I'm like, all right, I get it. She's, like, a creepy goth chick. But then the bunny ears, and I'm like, wait, like... Where did this part, like, come up? And they introduce another girl who's, like, she's also a tryhard, but she's meant to contrast with our tryhard because she's a tryhard gatekeeper who, like, purposely gives bad advice to newbies to try to get them to quit the hobby. Like, and she talks entirely in cat puns, and it's fucking excruciating.
Does she have cat ears?
I mean, this sounds like an attempt to graft what people normally find cute and endearing about girls in these shows onto
Right, and
an
it's just
entirely unsuitable
you know,
backdrop.
They introduce they cold open again in the second episode with another character we haven't seen before, except unlike last time where in the first episode it was an actual real rock climber. This time they introduce it turns out actually Japan's best rock climber is this teen idol who I guess rock climbing is her gimmick. She sings songs. I mean,
that wouldn't surprise me if that was a real thing.
I mean,
to be
okay,
honest,
you're right. It's Japan, I know, but it's just like it's still about rock climbing. Don't get me wrong. The episode itself still focuses pretty heavily on like, hey, rock climbing, but it's like, so you have all these like aesthetic elements that don't gel, and then the thing that actually really gets me is the main character. Like, she started less than 24 hours ago.
Right,
and,
right.
Like, she does badly in her first preliminary match, right? Or you know, whatever, right? Your preliminary qualifications, whatever. And she's, like, already doing the, like, arms on her knees, head down, like, I failed the team, I'm worthless, I should quit, like, you know, my senpais are so cool and awesome, and I'm so fucking shit and awful. Like, I should just.
It's been 24 hours.
Right. It's like, and I'm shouting at my screen. Like, it's been 24 hours.
It's one of those shows, then.
Yeah,
like, it just sounds like it's straitjacketed by obeying like every genre cliche in the letterbox.
It's kind of sad because like. Even though like I didn't love the first episode, it was still playing it kind of straight, right? Like it wasn't like they weren't introducing bunny ears and all that in the first episode. Like they were still taking it somewhat seriously, I guess. And maybe they are still. I mean,
I didn't even mention some of the other characters they introduced that are the other regional champs. Like, okay, admittedly there is one who is called, what is she called? Like Miss Maximuscle or something, and she's like hella ripped. But then like. The others they introduce is like a motorcycle gang chick, which like I'm not against motorcycle gang chicks, but why is she a rock climber? Like she's even got like the wooden sword and everything. I'm not sure. Like, you know, there's another girl they introduce that's called the Black Panther, except she has white hair, and that confuses me.
Maybe they're gonna make a gotcha game out of it.
I don't know, man. It's just it's bad.
All right. Well, that's probably more time than that show deserved.
Truly.
So we can move along to our Dogakobo block, I guess, here. We didn't even talk about their other show on the preview podcast, but that other show was Sleepy Princess in the Demon Castle. And I was surprised it actually turned out to be pretty good. It is the type of terrible people comedy that I usually like.
Yes, your speciality.
This is by the Monthly Girls Nozaki-kun team, so it looks very good.
The Dogakobo A team.
Yeah, pretty much their A team.
Bad news. That's probably their B team.
Well, I don't know who their A team would be at this point. But,
I don't know. Probably the Lolicon shit.
Yeah, maybe. But this was a lot of fun. It was kind of a fun premise. There's this princess that gets kidnapped by the Demon King, but rather than care about that, she just wants to get a good night's sleep, and she's a terrible person, so she will lie, cheat, and murder, do whatever she needs to do to get like a better pillow or something like that.
Yeah, relatable.
Yeah, and it's pretty funny. Like the humor is like. I'm not going to say it's dark, but there's a bit of black humor in there.
I saw a lot of talk around that this was like a really strong debut, but also like nobody seemed sure that they would be able to keep it up for more than a few episodes, if that makes sense. Like,
yeah,
is it one of those,
I mean, it's a pretty...
Is it one of those shows where there's one joke and it depends on how well you can get, what you can get out of that one joke?
Yeah, I think there's room for a little more variety on the joke, but I think they're going to have to like introduce some like more characters and stuff, because it's very much focused on like her and like whatever, you know, there's like some other monsters and stuff in the castle that she's murdering or whatever, but I think there would have to be more to the cast or something, different interactions to keep it going. But for the first episode, it was pretty good. They had a lot of pretty solid jokes, like at one point she just straight up dies. She like falls in lava or something. and the on-call demon priest resurrects her, and she's like disappointed she didn't get more rest while she was dead.
Big mood.
Highly relatable.
This is relatable.
Yeah, so there's some jokes like that in there, and like I said, it's my particular brand of comedy, so I don't know if anybody else in the GLORIO crew would actually enjoy it, but I was having fun with it, and it's just a question of whether or not they can find other avenues for jokes, so it's not the same thing over and over again.
Speaking of jokes,
that said, yes, boy. It was not nearly as funny, and for all the wrong reasons, as Ikebukuro Westgate Park.
So I want to open this by saying that even though this show was made by Japanese people, and because it's the modern anime industry, probably also Korean people, Chinese people, Vietnamese people, this was probably the whitest thing I have ever seen.
Dude, this show is so fucking lame. Holy shit.
Smoking kills.
So a little refresher. This is supposed to be about some street gang business
like the third or fourth show of the season.
I know, right?
Bukuro.
Like, there's like a weird recurring theme of shows taking place in Ikebukuro this season.
Yeah, there's quite a few, but this one is like, I feels like intentionally leaning the most into it, I guess.
Into the Bukuro culture, you mean?
Yeah, and we got this guy who's like friends with this big street gang, and they're just like the biggest nerds on the planet.
A street gang headed by a guy in what looks like a crimped velvet suit.
Right.
I think we all have our favorite unintentionally funny moments. Mine personally was when the boss guy's like, "I want you to investigate this. I don't care if it's ... legal." It's like.
I think for me, the part where I lost it, and maybe not even just for the wrong reasons, but not even for a good reason, is like the part where the Japanese cops are talking about how like the authorities are losing the war on drugs, and like to imply that in 2020 is like. I mean, it is darkly hilarious for all the wrong reasons to me, for, like, anyone to say with a straight face, "Oh, yeah, no, the police are up against the wall in the war on drugs. Yeah, no, the gangs are definitely winning, guys."
I don't know.
Or even, like, just their treatment of like, drugs in general when they bust into, like, the
grow up. And
the fucking evil grow up.
Like, it's like a normalized grow up, and they're treating it like it's somebody's, like, murder sex dungeon.
It's like... Yeah, I was gonna say, as someone who's like seen a couple grow-ups in California, I was like, oh, this seems like a remarkably like mundane one by comparison.
I mean, how about the bit where they like plan to send the guy down by like planting this tiny little doggy bag of weed, like in the most conspicuous way possible?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing. Like, they're supposed to be like a cool street gang or something, and they're basically cops.
Right, they basically work with the cops.
Dude has two underworld contacts, and they're both cops.
Right, like, that's the thing, right? This isn't even like, look, man, alright? Like, you can get into a whole tangent about how, like, in Yakuza, Kiryu Kazuma is, like, generally pretty chummy with the cops, but, like, at least he still mostly hangs out with criminals. Like,
right.
Like, Ikebukuro Westgate Park is, like, I mean, what I said in our post is, like, it's toothless. Like, it's a show that, like,
But it thinks it's a fucking shark.
Like
right, that's the thing.
It's trying to be hard, but it doesn't know how.
It is the vanilla ice of gang shows.
The way I put it in my post is that the show feels like it was written by middle-aged men whose only understanding of the streets is having watched 10 minutes of Boys in the Hood and having once seen the cover of a Busta Rhymes album.
Right. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like, I think you could do like a comedy or something where there's a street gang that thinks they're hard, but they're actually a bunch of losers.
God,
but this show really thinks it's being super cool, and it is like the complete opposite of. I mean, whatever the opposite of cool is.
In their first episode, they decided that their best foot forward to like depict how rough and tumble life is on the streets of Ikebukuro is to have main character babysit this 12-year-old girl who causes some trouble.
Well, I mean, look.
Oh no! Wait, we had that drug addict guy that lost his mind.
Oh yeah.
So
right,
when he
rampaging
wandered
through the streets.
onto the stage and like gang leader velvet suit dude shows up, I just got like uncontrollable flashbacks to the walk-off scene in Zoolander. I expected David Bowie to show up all of a sudden.
Also, like that dude acting like, you know, he's like on PCP or something when he's realistically just like high on a little bit of weed is like, I mean, again, look,
he would just be sleeping in an alley or something.
Right, I mean, look, man,
Right.
like when I get high, I just get sleepy. Like I don't want to go anywhere.
You don't turn into a zombie, right? It's, or a
Best
killer
zombie.
zombie or
Best
something.
comedy of the season by a mile.
What was that anime with super weed? Was that what was it called? It's the Type Moon one, right? Like,
Are you sure you're not mixing it up with Hitman 2 where there's super cocaine?
no,
No,
isn't,
that
there's
is-
there's like a thing like a
no,
super marijuana.
You
and,
are
like,
correct. That is the remaining Gangsters movie we have not yet watched.
Oh shit! I'm sorry. Did I spoil super marijuana for
it's
Sig?
fine.
Man, what's even the
All
point
right.
in watching it now I know that it involves super
Yeah,
marijuana?
this show's lame. We can move on.
I'm just gonna point out while Dogekoba's good show was done by the Nozaki team, this was done by the Sing Yesterday for Me people. So maybe that we should have seen that. Maybe we should have seen that coming.
I feel like you're blackening the name of Sing Yesterday for me. For
Yeah, I was gonna say,
even
like, Sing-
associating it with this.
Like I didn't love that show. I feel like Sig Yesterday
least I-
deserves better than to be lumped in with this show.
At least I finished watching that, I
Right,
suppose. But
yeah.
all right. Let's move on to another not so great show. I wanted to mention Noblesse because that is the third of the three big webtoon
yeah.
adaptations that Crunchyroll has put out under their Crunchyroll Originals name. I tried to watch this and had absolutely no idea what was going on because they pick up right where the random 2016 OVA left off 4 years ago.
Is this how like fucking D. Grayman or whatever came back in 2016 or something and picked up where the previous season like 10 years ago?
You
And
mean
then,
you mean a
like-
Full Metal Panic season 4?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I did not want to watch the OVA, so I kind of skimmed through it and just based off the scriptures and everything, kind of got an idea of what was going on. But if you actually pull up the new show on Crunchyroll, they have a big banner underneath it saying "Watch the OVA
Sure.
before you watch this." So just throwing that out there if anybody's actually interested in it. I still don't know if I fully understand what was going on. I mean, there's a guy that comes back
So a vampire or something,
from
right?
hundreds of years ago. I guess he's a vampire. I don't know if they're really clear on that, but and he's trying to acclimate to modern life, which is kind of funny, but then the tone's like all over the place.
Sure.
Sometimes it's funny, sometimes there's people getting murdered.
Oh, great.
You know, sometimes it's just, there's one scene where there's one of the other guys is beating up this bully guy in the parking lot or something. I don't know. And the other thing is, like, I feel like I could not tell who, like, the main character was. There was, like, 3 different guys that were, like, getting equal spotlight during the episode, and it just felt like a mess. Like, I don't know if it was I don't know if that's, like, the source or if just the adaptation is bad.
I forget. This is another Crunchyroll production, but is this also a webtoon?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's one of the big webtoons.
We keep saying one of the big webtoons. How many big webtoons are there?
Well, I think the 3 that they picked to adapt are those are the ones I
big
heard
three.
anyway.
Okay.
I believe this is the only
But-
one that's finished.
Oh, really?
I mean,
yeah.
clearly Crunchyroll sees the market there, and apparently it's successful because they keep
apparently
funding
it's
these
working.
things.
Yeah.
But I
read
don't
that.
know if they're just like. I guess I have a feeling they were banking a lot of people being familiar with the
Webtoons
source.
are just growing more and more popular, so...
But and I will say one more thing. Like, I skimmed through the OVA. The OVA actually looks really nice because it's an OVA. The TV show, not so much.
I mean, that's
I
to
think
be
it's-
expected.
No, but like more so than
Oh,
usual.
well.
Yeah.
It wasn't great. It was serviceable at best, and like coming hot off of the OVA, which looks really nice, to the TV show did not do it any favors either. But everybody's in it is extremely hot though.
Great.
So
Love it.
if you like hot sad boys punching each other, it's probably right up your alley.
Would we rather have them punch each other or them rapping at each other?
Oh man, if these were rapping
I don't know about
vampires.
Well, have we confirmed that there are no vampires in Hypnosis?
Oh,
Mike?
you're
I don't
right.
know. I mean, the dude pulled out like his big like skeleton.
Yeah,
coffin.
and
We
they-
have
they
to
don't-
stop talking about Hypnosis.
They
Mike.
don't
We
have
have
an
to stop.
They don't have an emo goth crew yet. Yeah, they could totally fill
Yeah,
one
I mean,
in.
that's-
Speaking of
that's
emo
fair
goths,
game.
our next show.
Oh
What's
well.
our next show?
Yeah. Okay.
Oh,
Sure.
Not
I
so
haven't
much.
watched.
not so
I have
much.
not watched this. So
All right. Yeah. Let's move on to Moriarty the Patriot. I got to admit, I tried to watch this and I fell asleep. So Zig, you may have to help us on this one.
Wow, really starting me off with a blinder there, aren't you?
fucking Moriarty got dumpstered.
What could I say? What could I say after that?
So I think well, first of all, I this wasn't even on my radar because I'm like so tired of Sherlock Holmes or Sherlock
Yeah,
Holmes adjacent
same.
stories. And of
Understandable.
course, Moriarty is referring to the the big Sherlock Holmes villain. But
What if he was a hot anime boy and also I take it back. What if instead of what you think of Moriarty, he was 3 hot anime boys who were brothers?
Yes.
Oh.
So this thing is
What
odd
if Moriarty was the
and
Buster Bros?
like
What if they formed a rap crew?
Sorry, go ahead, Zig.
so
sorry,
this
Zig,
thing
go ahead.
currently at least has like basically no connection to the Sherlock Holmes mythos aside from the fact it is set in Victorian London. But,
I mean, the Conan Doyle estate would sue otherwise, right? I feel like they're pretty litigious these days.
I feel like is
I mean, they're gonna have to do something to connect it at some point.
you'd
though,
think
right?
so,
Like,
but
otherwise, what's
isn't
the point?
Sherlock Holmes out of copyright at this point?
Well, my understanding is that there was a bit of a headline the other day. I really apologize for this tangent, but now that I've brought it up,
Is this the
Apparently-
Sherlock Holmes is not allowed to show emotion thing?
yeah, that thing, yeah, like.
The kid in the beginning of the episode, while I was still awake, was actually reading a Sherlock Holmes
Yes.
book.
I wonder if this
So-
is a US copyright versus other copyright things there. But anyway, the point
anyway,
is that there's, for this first episode at least, that there is basically no Sherlock Holmesian involvement. Holmes himself is never mentioned or shows up. So, yes, as Ivo mentioned, Professor James Moriarty is now William James Moriarty, an extremely attractive blonde young man. But the thing is, for a show which is, follows the time-tested anime tradition of it's so-and-so, but he's a hot girl or hot guy now, this was surprisingly good, I thought, actually. It's fairly dark and pretty gory. There's a murder mystery that is about a member of the English upper classes hunting down boys and mercilessly slaughtering them. And basically, Moriarty tracks him down and then gives him what for, to a certain extent. And I think as a mystery it didn't really hold up to much, but it's a decent tone piece. It was surprisingly dark. Like I said, the basic gist is that Moriarty is some kind of like Victorian Punisher, and he and his 2 brothers will like track down people and like people who are outside the law and then take horrible revenge on them, or let their victims have horrible revenge on them.
Yeah, I did wake up around that part because he lets one of the fathers of one of the boys that got kidnapped deal with the kidnapper or
And
something.
boy, he deals with him.
Yeah,
and I mean, like, I think that it has a good potboiler atmosphere going. I don't think that the Ikemen bits are too distracting, quite frankly. Like, it still puts the characters front and center. And it looks lovely. It's a production IG thing, and it's really nicely done. There's lots of really nice shots, a good reproduction of Victorian London, some great character animation.
that's where all the production IG
Yeah,
because they're doing Noblesse
Yeah.
too. So.
I will say it's production IG, and because of some of the same staff involved, Moriarty just looks like Reinhard von Lohengrin from Legend of Galactic Heroes Die Neue These.
Oh, DNT.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does. Actually.
But yeah, like I'm not prepared to declare it like an instant classic or whatever. But I was impressed by like the atmosphere and how well it tells a basic revenge story. And like I said, I think I was most surprised by the fact that like you were talking about how stuff like climbing girls, like the genre kind of overrides the actual story they're trying to tell. Here it felt like the opposite. It felt like, yes, Moriarty and his brothers are very attractive men, but it doesn't really dwell on that so much. It's more, it got into the teeth of the mystery and the murder and all that kind of stuff. So I enjoyed it quite a bit, actually.
I'm going to predict he's going to show down with hot Sherlock Holmes at some point.
That's what you'd want, right? I feel like the obvious path here is obviously you have Moriarty, who is like, operating outside the law, versus Holmes, who is like, the something like that, or like the personification of lawful good.
Isn't that like literally the exact opposite of the dynamic? Or
framing Holmes as the antagonist and Moriarty as the hero or anti-hero, whatever, would be the flip.
No, I meant framing Sherlock Holmes as a force of order, but
Yeah, but I mean, like, Holmes has been portrayed like every which way from Sundays these
Fair
days.
Enough, yes.
Like in a certain sense, this character doesn't even really have to be Moriarty. And certainly it diverges a great deal from the Sherlock Holmes canon, but I feel like that is the obvious path you would go. Obviously, I don't know that they will do that, but I would like there to be a connection to Sherlock Holmes and all that stuff at some point. Otherwise it just becomes, I say just, but otherwise it is just like a murder mystery come revenge show.
They should have pulled a Lupin and just made the Moriarty brothers like Moriarty's like bastard children or something.
I mean, it certainly,
that history forgot.
It certainly has like some of the Lupin stuff in the sense that it's kind of like you're rooting for the ostensible bad guys and like it's definitely a Jace, though obviously modern Lupin is a good deal more jaunty than that and kind of like generally shies away from explicit violence. But
this was pretty deadly serious.
Yeah.
There was zero fun being had.
I just meant more appropriate than name, but don't actually use the figure in question.
Right.
I mean, like, they would hardly be the first to do that. Like, I mean, even the basic idea of hot Moriarty from his viewpoint has been done a lot before. So it's less. I mean, this is definitely one where I felt like presentation and like moment-to-moment storytelling was much more interesting than the big picture view.
Right. Okay. Well, we'll see how that goes. I mean, I joke about me falling asleep. I think that was more me being tired than the show being bad. But it is not a fun show either. So like you got to be ready to sit down and pay attention.
It's definitely an atmosphere piece, I think.
Right. So joking aside, I'm not necessarily saying it was a bad show. Just I probably should have drank some caffeine beforehand. So we'll see how that goes. Again, I'm still predicting hot Sherlock Holmes will happen, but we'll see. All right, let's move on to Adachi and Shinamura. Did any of you guys watch this?
Yes.
Than me?
I did not.
Okay. Do you want to take this, Iro, or shall I?
I don't know.
I watched it.
Okay.
I watched it too.
I'll start, shall I? Then I found this one puzzling. I think watching it and all the marketing material and all that kind of stuff suggested that it would be kind of like a fairly highbrow, like two-girl friendship, maybe romance, kind of with a bit of surreality to it. And it's beautiful and it's got lovely art and stuff. And there's definitely quite a bit of the alienated outcast girl is befriended by an ordinary girl and they kind of get a thing going, so to speak. But it's also occasionally weirdly horny. Like,
yeah, the director can't keep it in his pants. That's the biggest problem
it's really
with the show.
Jarring to the overall tone, right? Like there's the occasional like vivacious shot of thighs or boobs or stuff like that, and it's odd and it really disrupts the gentle tone that like the rest of the show has, and that to me was kind of like it really took me out of it, and and then I found out that this is from the same author who did Denpa Honor, whatever that show was called a few seasons back, which I mostly remember because
seasons back? I'm sorry,
few seasons,
whatever. Like time is a flat circle. From 2015 or whatever, and I mostly remember that show for producing like a startling number of horny figures. So
I'm sorry to tell you that show's from 2011.
Oh God.
Right, I
Oh,
was like, dude,
yeah.
that show's old, right? Like that.
Yeah, that's going way back. That's pre-GLORIO.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, whatever. Like I said, time that
Yes.
doesn't mean anything anymore. But
Yeah.
it's
So-
it's odd because there were really moments where I felt like they got what they were going for. It looks lovely. A weird astronaut shows up at the end, and it's kind of freaky, and I'm into that. But I just wish that they could perhaps decide what they were going for.
Right. Because I really liked it, other than the directing, because like you said, like it doesn't match up with what's else is happening on screen. Like they're having like I really liked the writing and the dialogue and everything. It's a little overly romanticized and all that, but I thought I liked it.
It's meandering in a good way, I would say.
Right.
It's meandering.
I think that's more of a style.
Right. This is the type
disagreement
of
on style,
anime
but
dialogue which I do not enjoy. So
yes, it is not straightforward dialogue. It's a little more roundabout, but I thought it was actually good, and it doesn't make any sense why there had to be so much just horny camera work on it. And I don't know if it has to do, like, the source is a light novel, obviously, so I don't know how much but it's the male demographic.
Right.
I don't know how much of that has to do with that, or if it's just the director's choice of, man, I sure like high school girl thighs.
It also does one of my least favourite things, where it's like, haha, look, here's the girl with big boobs, we're so funny for pointing
Yes.
it out, and then they just do all the stuff anyway, and it's like the least funny thing in the universe, but it's fine because we pointed it out, and ugh.
Right. Right. Self-awareness is not an excuse for just doing it anyway.
I just don't see how where the show could go with the premise and the way it works. Like, I feel like this would just be 11 episodes of the same type of roundabout dialogue flirting with nothing else happening. And maybe that's what you want, is some sort of slice of life thing where this relationship is progressing, but
yeah, I think there'll be a slow burn progress on it, because if it seems like,
I don't know. I feel like this is the
some
setup
of their-
you set up so that you can say it's a slow burn and have no burn.
some of their like inner monologue in the first episode is like past tense, like something has already happened in the future. But I don't know. I don't know if there's anything else we can tell from the first
Right.
episode. We would just have to see more of it, like what's going on with the little astronaut person.
Apparently, I've been told is a reference to Denpa Onna. So that's
Okay.
all I got.
Well, we'll have to dig through the memory banks from nearly
I'm
10
good.
years ago on that one, I guess. I don't even remember if I watched that show or not, to be honest. So long ago, but yeah. I think there was a lot of potential here, and I'm not confident that they're totally going to reach it. They're kind of shooting themselves in the foot, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But I'll give it another episode. We'll see. All right.
For a show on the complete opposite end of the spectrum.
Yes. Let's talk about Akudama Drive. I'm gonna say let's cancel Cyberpunk 2077. We don't need it anymore.
Dude, Akudama Drive is so fucking cool.
Let those poor overworked people rest.
I got huge Babuki Buranki vibes from this, and that is a compliment, because it was so crazy and like so completely anime in like the most over the top sense of that word.
I was finally having fun watching something this season.
Yeah, like as Iro could attest, like I think we were watching that, and like that was like I think the first show this season we were just like the moment so we were talking about, look, we're gonna bring it up Ikebukuro Westgate Park one more time, but one of the things we didn't really get into is just like how little personality that show has. Like, it's about the mean streets of Ikebukuro, but like there's nothing there's nothing authentic about it. It doesn't convey a personality to a neighborhood. Whereas
Right.
Even in its opening minutes of Akudama Drive, like, we don't need narrator scroll, we don't need a monologue.
Give us a holographic crab and a zeppelin that says public execution.
Yeah, these panning shots of fucking Neo Dotonbori.
See, I disagree. I actually thought that the opening was fairly flat because I was like, oh look, it's another anime that looks like Blade Runner, you know, and it wasn't until like they really begin to like let the stupid stuff off the leash where I was like, okay, I get what you're going for.
Like, whatever, but like my point is, like, this setting already has so much personality to it. Like, everything about the set dressing of this show is like, I am in love with it. Like, you know, the holographic stuff, the advertisements, like, the set dressing, like, a bit later in the show where they're in the police station and like all the busts of the past commissioners are like holograms instead of like actual statue busts. Like, all that stuff is like, that is primo concept art material. Like, that is the stuff that artists look at and they're like, man, somebody had a lot of fun coming up with all this stuff. And
right.
Like, there's just so much personality to it. Like, immediately, like you immediately, like, as Iro said, right? Like, you don't need like someone to say, you don't need your Harrison Ford, the year is blah 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 Blade Runner shit, right? Because like you see a fucking advertisement for a public execution happening, like it's all there, and that's even before the characters show up. And then once they do, like, and the dude with the bike shoots out grappling hooks, and like, is Spider-Man swinging around.
I mean, I think we're pretty much in agreement that
like.
I think we're pretty much in agreement that is the moment. That is the moment where it fully embraces its complete cartoon insanity.
I was a little unsure if I was supposed to be taking, like, how seriously I was supposed to be taking it until that happens, and I went, oh, okay.
Yeah. And then, like, once they start doing, like, the very, like, stylish, like, Persona-adjacent character introduction, like, sections.
Right, everybody that uses their all-out attack.
Yeah, it's like...
animation.
The show's just got a style to it, Just, like, it's... Like, you could just say, oh, just another Cyberpunk, but, like... I don't know. There's like something like, I think there's something really like.
I mean, I was talking more about the world design. I think once you get to the character design and those introduction cut-ins and a lot of the stuff they do, yes, absolutely, it has a very unique style. I think my argument was simply that the world design was not the thing which hooked me about this. The music, the characters, the camera work, the cut-ins. That's the stuff where I saw the style come through.
Yeah, I was a little unsure once I noticed it was the Danganronpa guy. I will say, like, I enjoyed the premiere. I'm unsure of where we're going from here. Like, if we just end up with a dwindling cast trying to kill each other, I don't think that might be less interesting.
Yeah, I was a little skeptical of the fact that they went into a death game at the end because you know that's what the Danganronpa guy does. We should really look up his name, by the way. But yeah, I think there's a way for this to be fun. I think it's probably not the path I would have chosen, but it's. With shows like this, like, the chaotic energy is part of it, and part of the chaos is that it could go any direction at any time.
When I saw it was the guy that we don't have his name, and I read the premise, I didn't even put it on our preview podcast because I was like, this is just going to be like pure anime trash in a bad way, and then it turned out to be like, in my opinion, pure anime trash in a good way, where it's just like so, like, it's the kind of I don't know, just like ridiculous, over the top, stylish type of things you'd only get in like animation, right? Like it was just fun. Like,
yes,
we're having fun. Like, not a lot of these shows. Like, a lot of these shows, we can say they had good points or we enjoyed them, whatever. But were we having fun? Maybe not. Not to this degree.
Kazutaka Kodaka.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that was a bit of a surprise for everybody. And I'm kind of glad it turned out that way.
Yes.
Yeah. I just
sometimes you just want something that is like weird and full of energy, and I think this definitely qualifies.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, so let's move along to The Day I Became a God, not to be confused with By the Grace of the Gods.
That's what I was getting confused about. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't even want to talk about By the Grace of the Gods. That was the other isekai slime show thing, which you can just read my post on it.
I mean, I would describe most
isekai
shows as isekai slime. So
you can read my post and my story about my creepy English teacher from high school.
This is the Jun Maeda thing, isn't it?
Yes. So this is the Jun Maeda Key PA Works every 5 years collaboration show.
Because those have all been
this is the one. Okay, right. I forgot we talked about this in our preview podcast.
Yes. So let me once again preface, I'm glad Jun Maeda is still with us and has not died from his mysterious heart disease. But
sure.
Yeah, not so glad about this one. It's almost
parroting. Hilarious,
like how like on the nose it was. Like, yep, this is Jun Maeda. This is key production. So the premise is like this little pink-haired girl in a nun uniform appears out of nowhere, and she claims to be the Norse god.
Does she have a
deadly it's just fucking disease? Warlords of Sigrdrifa.
Wait, again? Man, 2 Odins in one season?
Fuck me.
Yep, so there's another Odin in this.
Does she have a spear? Does she have a 6-legged steed? Does she have an eye patch?
Does she at least have an eye patch? Not even an eye patch? Like, come on.
She's a tiny pink-haired girl who's dressed like a nun. So the only reference that they show one screenshot from her imagination where she has all the animals around her throne, but yeah, and so she claims to be Odin and that she can predict the future and that the world is going to end in 30 days. And for some reason, she has decided to spend the last 30 days with this boring, complete nothing protagonist, random generic guy. And of course, he doesn't believe her. So a lot of the episode is her trying to convince him. And he does at least convince him that something's going on because she starts like predicting the future on a bunch of things. But he's still not totally sold on the we're all going to die in 30 days thing. And, oh my God. She's so annoying. I can't. She's got the high little girl anime voice, and she's yelling and screaming for half the episode because he won't believe her. Because, of course, the way the formula usually works with these shows is they have, like, the silly anime hijinks in the beginning.
And then someone reveals that she's dying.
Right.
And then they need to
eventually
the light orbs.
Eventually, it's going to be like. I think eventually it's going to be obvious to him that the world is actually ending in 30 days, and then you've got that. What would you do with the last 2 weeks of your life or something?
I mean, since it's a key show, there's also always the chance for time loop shenanigans.
Yay!
Yep, that's always a possibility too. So, again, this went exactly as expected. I would say at least that it looks very nice. It's the best looking one out of any of these shows.
Right.
It's PA Works pulling out all the stops on it, I guess, now that they don't have to do Appare Ranman.
Right, Jesus Christ.
I can't get back into that show.
So yeah, you have been warned on that.
Yeah.
All right, last show on the list we have
Taisho Samurai.
Is Taisho Samurai, or Funimation is officially just calling it the Gymnastics Samurai.
Seriously?
Because I think that's what Taisho means.
Fine.
I'm just saying Taisho Samurai, at least, like, it's got a catchy hook to it,
Yeah, the literal translation is
that has a catchy hook to it, unlike the show itself. Which is all over the fucking shop.
Man, that first episode was disappointing.
Okay, so I will say just a little bit of positive about it. I did like the thematic concept of it. It's not a high school story; it's a adult story.
Sure,
but the problem. I mean, I don't know. I'm sorry to interrupt you, Joe.
I'll get to the problems in a second. I'm just trying to say that I will at least give him credit for telling a different story other than I've joined the high school gymnastics club.
Right.
This is more of I'm entering my 30s.
Right.
What is the next stage of my life?
Basically, a pro gymnast is reaching the end of his career because he's older than 25 and also has a shoulder injury
and a daughter.
Yeah, he's a single dad. Let's not forget that.
Right.
So.
Yes, and he's a single dad, and his coach and peers are kind of pressuring him to retire, and he doesn't really want to retire because he has fond memories of gymnastics. And then on a trip to the Edo Wonderland Toei set, with his daughter to try and soften the blow of him telling her he's going to retire from gymnastics. They meet some weird foreigner dressed as a ninja who follows them home, and the ninja
is a natural acrobat of
It's
some
a natural
kind.
acrobat.
Also,
good at gymnastics.
They live with a talking bird.
Yeah, there's some weird
Like,
things
I
going
don't-
on.
Right.
Is this our fault for going into this thinking, oh, look, it's Yuri on Ice?
Yuri on Ice. Yeah.
When this is like
Maybe a little
nothing
bit.
like it?
Yeah, I don't think the really bizarre, like, the bird and the whole ninja thing, I feel like that was not doing it any
Right.
service. Like, I feel like this would have been better as a grounded type
Right.
of story, and I don't like where they're going with him apparently gonna try to come back and continue doing gymnastics. Like, I kind of would have preferred the story of him trying to transition out of that.
Of course he was going to, man. It's one
Right.
of these stories. This is always what they do.
I know,
Right.
but
I
I'm
mean,
just saying...
there's still a
my...
chance that he could come back and realize he really hasn't got it anymore.
Oh man, that would be
don't think
soul
that's gonna
crushing.
I do like the like criticism here is his reasoning for not really wanting to retire is supposedly because of his relationship with his daughter, supposedly being based off of his gymnastics career. Or like, he's like, oh, but she's so happy when she's watching me do gymnastics or whatever. Except
Right.
we spend a lot of the episode establishing that they have a good relationship regardless of whether he's doing gymnastics or not.
Right.
Like,
This is like what was the show with the manga author and
Kokushigoto?
his daughter?
Yeah.
Yes, where he thinks but
like, him
yeah, and
retiring
that's
there's no reason why it would affect their relationship.
Right.
And in fact, like, she
Right.
seems smart enough to realize what's going on anyway.
Yeah, like
right. He doesn't tell her, and she figures out what's happening. I think that's kind of at the heart of why the episode was driving me crazy. Was nobody's communicating, every single character, and the entire episode is getting dragged out, like, artificially by the fact that nobody will actually just say what they're thinking.
Right.
Like the show, the whole
And
episode basically
so, like-
consists of like maybe half a dozen actual meaningful conversations stretched out to 22 minutes.
Right. Like, they even make a joke about how, like, his coach was trying to tell him to retire for years, but he just was not understanding, and then the coach wasn't, like,
Pushing it.
actually correcting him or anything. And then you've got, like, you know, the ninja guys, like, he's like, who are you? I'm a ninja. What do you want to do?
No,
I'm
who
a
the
ninja.
fuck are
Like,
you?
nobody's
Yeah.
And then, like, every time he tries to communicate with his daughter, the ninja guy interrupts, just like artificially keep dragging out. Like, he obviously doesn't want to say it, but, like, they just keep artificially. And I was like screaming at the
It's like
thing,
a waste.
just, like,
It's like,
spit
stop
it out.
wasting my
and just,
time.
Yeah.
Stop wasting my
I will say
time.
the grandma is rad.
Oh yeah, the grandma's cool.
I would,
Yeah, the
I
grandma's
would rather watch a show about what styling grandma was doing in the Showa era.
Yeah, like
When she's like, I built this house with my own hands.
right, like I
I'm
saw
like,
that
yeah, hell
grandma,
yeah, tell
and
me
you know
more.
what? I bet that grandma could handle the streets of Ikebukuro.
Right, and she's in here talking about the streets of Bukuro.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, she totally is.
Right.
She's street as fuck.
God damn it.
Yeah, so she was great, but I everybody else was
Yeah,
driving me
it's-
insane
talking bird?
with their, like...
What is with the talking bird? Like the most they give us is we got it from South America.
Yeah, because we should point out he looks like a
Cartoon bird.
weird,
Right,
bizarre
right. This is
cartoon
not like a
bird.
regular
in
bird.
a-
This is like a Toucan the Sam motherfucker. Like just
It's not even
he's
like the
a,
same art
glowing
style.
blue Chewbill.
It's like
It's
how
like in
it's how
Classical
like how
they had the
last
fucking
season.
bird.
It's how, like, last season in Decadence when the androids were different art
Yeah.
Remember
style.
how this exact thing happened in Tamako Market?
Right, but
Yeah, it's kind of like it's actually worse. Well, the art is worse than Tamako Market, but Tamako Market the bird could talk, and they never explained that. But
right, but bird talks in.
No, the Tamako Mockingbird talked like a human, like just straight up
actual regular
sentient human being.
not like
I
squawking bird.
thought that's what you meant here. I thought that the bird was just
No.
Look, I don't know, man. That bird's holding some conversation.
I mean, yeah, no, that bird's talking. But it's doing like obvious, like quote unquote bird accent. Of,
right,
like,
sure, fine,
squawking its words.
Right, where he's repeating himself over and over, and
just speak like a person.
But yeah, it's just like it's again. Maybe this is just about managed expectations, but even then, I think the show itself does feel inconsistent because, as far as I can tell, the gymnastics story part seems genuine. Like, it does seem to be a genuine story about like, do I still have what it takes to make it in this sport? And like, why do I love this sport? Why do I still do this sport? That part's not goofy. It's not like, it's not silly or self-aware. Right. It's just like there are other parts of it that are, and they totally feel incongruous with each other.
Yeah. Just I don't know what to make of it.
I think I guess I think I would have liked it if all the adults weren't just idiots. Like they're all just like, and I could not get behind, what was going on, and maybe they'll fix that now that the big secret's out in the open or whatever, or they're moving on from the retirement thing. I don't know, but it was not a fantastic start, to say the least. Even though, again, I feel like there was potential there. So, maybe they can write the ship.
I will say the ending is a cover of Shanghai Honey by Orange Range.
Yes. A song that was also featured in Os Tatakai Oendon for the DS.
Yep. That's it. That's all I got.
And it does have silly dancing, so that was pretty good. So we'll give
track.
That too.
Shouts to Oendon. That's a good video game.
Yeah, Oendon's a great video game. They should make Elite Beat Agents 2. Fuck you, Nintendo.
On the Switch, fuck it.
Like, fuck you. The Switch is here. The 3DS is dead and gone, and you never made an Elite Beat Agents 2. Like, honestly, fuck you, Nintendo. Like, that is maybe the biggest blunder you've ever made.
At this point, I would take an Elite Beat Agents re-release, quite frankly. Just give me something.
Yeah. You could do it on Switch, too.
We don't have time for this next show. We don't have any more time. I just want to shout out that the Witch show is all right.
Wandering Witch.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I heard that was okay, but I didn't know if any of us actually watched it.
It seems very charming and low-key, and there's not really any stakes, but it looks nice, and it's, relaxing and fun in a way, Yeah.
What is the actual title?
I think it's just The Wandering Witch, isn't it?
Okay. So yeah, I did hear that was alright, but like I said, I didn't know if anybody watched it on here. So I know Aqua watched it.
Wandering Witch: The Journey of Elena.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe check that out. All right, so that's gonna
somehow
do it.
made
that's
it
the end of our list.
To the end of
There's
this
more
podcast.
shows that have yet to air. I'm just gonna put that out there.
We'll probably...
There's a couple shows still hanging that either didn't air or we haven't written about them yet, or we didn't get to watch them before this.
I want to do a quick shout out to a couple of holdovers that we're still watching. Digimon Adventure is absolute dog shit. It is appalling. It is terrible. And Kamen Rider Saber is somehow 10 times as worse.
All right, great shout-outs.
Great shout-outs.
Get your shit together, Toei.
Yeah, honestly, I just need to put it out there. Kamen Rider Saber either has, severe production trouble or somebody has just forgotten how to write narrative, because the last episode, honestly...
Complete fucking mess.
Yeah, just felt like it was Frankenstein together from, 5 different episodes. Just a disaster.
I literally
we'll have
thought that I'd somehow gotten drunk, watched, because I was so unable to follow what was happening.
Yeah. Well, we'll have time to catch up on that in the coming weeks, I'm sure. So, all right. So let's do housekeeping. Check us out at theglorioblog.com, where we've written about all of these shows and more. So if you want some more in-depth analysis or review or whatever, and you can tell us we're wrong on the post or whatever, but go check those out. Follow us on Twitter at theglorioblog. You can subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, Amazon Music, which is new, and Podbean. And you can also check us out on YouTube. That's pretty much going to do it. So, go tell your friends, tell your enemies, and we'll catch everybody next time.